What's up, YouTube? A longtime follower of mine has been wanting me to look at the Kantai collection trial deck. I haven't really had the time to test it out or play with it myself, so I decided to wait a while on doing it, and I have to say it's a pretty awesome deck. Today we're going to look at why it's just so powerful. As always, if you just need to net deck the deck list, then there it is. Please enjoy. All I ask of you is that you leave me a like on your way out. For the rest of us, you might be noticing that the deck looks surprisingly well balanced, well, with the exception of level 2, but for a trial deck, it still looks pretty well balanced. Level 0 is surprisingly really good. Normally, level 0 is just kind of like a filler level when it comes to trial decks, but this level 0 is legitimately pretty awesome. In a bizarre twist, there's only 2 of each vanilla level 0 in this deck. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because normally you want to take the 0 vanillas out anyway, but it's pretty strange. Normally you get 4 of one color and 2 of another to help fix the colors, but in this, I don't really know what the point of just having 2 of each is. I mean, as always, they're solid attackers, so there's certainly nothing to complain about. Our level 0 assist is Kikuzuki. She's a very awesome, but also a very controversially good card. You can pay 1 stock to put one of your opponent's front row level 0s into the waiting room. The ability to do this is amazing, but a lot of newer players are going to mistake this for an ability that you should just use all of the time. Just remember that you are purposefully putting yourself behind in stock to take away some of your opponent's field advantage. So make sure that when you use this, you're using it at a time that it's actually worth it, like with a level 0 that's just too big for you to deal with, or a level 0 with Encore. At level 0, you can side attack past most anything, so it doesn't really matter if they have a super powerful character at level 0, unless getting rid of it will set your opponent back. Oddly, Ikazuchi is another really good back row card. For just a few stock, you can turn any of your characters into an assassin. I would say that this card probably has a little more potential over the other level 0 assist, because this one lasts all game. At levels 1 or 2, you can just pay a couple of stock and make one character strong enough to take out whatever it is you need to take out on the field. On top of how amazing our back row is, we've come to our first real front row character, and this card is amazing too! Once per turn, if you become reverse, and you can reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's level 2 or higher, then it's just encored. In fact, it's a little bit better than Encore because it doesn't ever even hit your waiting room. It just immediately goes to rested instead of being reversed. If your deck is meant to win at level 2 and has a lot of really good level 2 cards, then this card can be quite the powerhouse because it's a card that can continually get you stock and not have to be replaced for like 3 or 4 turns. And if you don't pull it off, then who cares? Let it go to the waiting room. It's just a level 0. It's all reward and no risk, and that's fantastic. On top of that, the deck also comes with a level 0 3500. I wouldn't say that this front row is better than the other front row, but this is still really good. The main downside of this is, of course, your opponent getting the +1 soul, and because your level 0 is so strong, there's not really a reason to push yourself into level 1. Don't misunderstand me, this is still a really great card. I'm just pointing out the fact that it does have slightly more risk than the other card does. Anything that hits above 3000 is going to be a real lifesaver at level 0 anyway. People have been going crazy over Inazuma Blunder, and I gotta level with you guys, I don't like this card. Let's go through what it does. When you play it, you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it isn't a Fleet Girl, then you have to rest this card. Normally, when you get a card with an effect like this, it's to limit its power because it's more powerful than it's supposed to be. But let's see what its second effect is. When this card is sent from the stage to the waiting room, and that means through any means is sent from the stage to the waiting room, you can give yourself 1 damage and pay 1 stock. Then search your deck for a level 1 or lower character and put it in your hand. I'm sorry people, I just don't think this card is worth running. To pull off its effect, you get behind in stock, and you take 1 damage. You're also only allowed to search for a level 1 or lower character. The entire deck is about having this beautiful array of level 2s that all do something different and unique and awesome, yet you're not allowed to touch any of them. Level 1 or level 0 and that's it. This takes away any chance this card would be usable at level 2 or above, because you're not going to want to take 1 damage and lose 1 stock to get a level 1 or lower, because they're not going to help you out very much. You could also make the argument that doing this thins out your deck a little bit, but it just doesn't thin out your deck enough to justify taking 1 damage and losing 1 stock and only getting a level 1 or lower in return. If you like it and want to use it, great, that's your prerogative. I'm just telling you my personal opinions. I do not like this card. I will not use this card if I pick up Kantai. Our level 1's a little light, but that's to be expected in a deck like this. Just make it through this level and you can finish the game with a bang. 5500 vanilla, you either love it or you hate it, you get 2 copies. I don't like them, I don't use them. If you do, then great. We do get 7000 vanillas, and 7000 vanillas are really good. Run these. Don't talk to me about how you don't want to pay the 1 stock. It's not that big of a deal. I personally think Naka's really good. First of all, any level 1 with Encore is just fantastic, especially a level 1 with Encore you don't have to pay for. You do have to put the top card of your library in the waiting room when this comes into play, and if it is a climax, then this card becomes stock. That does suck, but sit back and think for a second. If this effect does trigger, then you didn't pay anything for this card, so you're not really losing anything. In fact, you're gaining 1 stock. If this effect doesn't trigger, then you're getting a 5500 with Encore for free, and you've thinned a card out from your deck. It's still beyond a shadow of a doubt a downside, but it doesn't have to be all bad. Tenryu's not a very good card. This card gets plus 500 power for every level 0 you still have in play, which even at max potential doesn't add up to a lot. You only get a 7000. And being up to a 7000 means you also have a bunch of level 0 still in play, which means your opponent's probably going to field wipe you on the next turn, which is going to make this card just not matter at all. I don't know if you've heard about this already, but there's actually 7000s now that are permanently 7000 all of the time, and you only have to pay 1 stock for them, and you can have whatever else you want in play. Isuzu is our last level 1, and it's another level 1 with Encore. This is the one that deals 1 damage to you, and because this card is so weak, this could potentially really hurt you. But on the bright side, at least you get to level 2 a little bit faster, and you don't have to waste any of your hand advantage bringing her back. You definitely don't want to use this effect if you're level 2 or above, though. Trust me, just let her go to the waiting room. She also has a climax combo, and if you can pull it off, all of your level 1 and lowers get plus 1500 for the turn. It's not really the greatest, but it could easily not have this effect and still be good, so who cares if it has a bonus, you know? Level 2 should be your time to shine. For a trial deck, we have access to a very solid late game lineup. At level 2, the only vanilla we have is the 9000 vanilla. This is fantastic, the 8500 vanillas are worthless. Fasho First Class is pretty darn amazing. She's a backup that doubles as a changer. What? The versatility is just mind-blowing. She changes into that 9000 vanilla we were just talking about earlier, which is pretty sweet. As if that weren't good enough, you get the 9000 vanilla for 1 less stock, and it gets plus 1000 power for the turn. Play this, rest 2 of your girls in the back, and switch this out with your 9000 vanilla for free, making it a 10,000 for the turn and still swinging for 2 soul. The fact that this is in a trial deck is beyond impressive. Ryojo is a decent enough card. You can discard a card from your hand to make her an assassin. I'm not 100% sure how comfortable I am discarding cards from my hand for something as frivolous as 3500 power at this point, but I can definitely see its uses. The deck also comes with a level assist, which is pretty darn awesome. Not only is it a level assist, but it also has a secondary effect as well. When you play this character to the stage, you can discard 1 card from your hand and get rid of 1 stock to search your deck for 1 aircraft carrier or light aircraft carrier character and put it in your hand. Definitely 100% a great bonus. Isuzu Kaini is a very interesting card because it gives us something like change, but from your hand and for free. If you have the level 1 Isuzu in play, you can just discard that and put this in its place, and you get to pay it for 0 cost. 0 cost for a character that not only swings for 2 soul, but is in a deck that can power it up past 8000 is actually really good. On top of that, it powers up Isuzu's climax combo a little bit. This character gets a plus 1000 boost and your opponent takes 1 damage, which isn't that bad for a climax combo. Maya's a fairly decent card. For 1 stock, she's not really that bad at all. I wouldn't say she's necessary per se, but that doesn't really make her a bad card. It just means she gets outshone by a lot of other cards that are slightly better than she is. Chokai is one of those cards. As long as you have a full front row and attack with her last, she's a 10,500 before boosts. She also hits him for 2 soul. You go, girl. Alrighty, let's take a look at our level 3. If you have 2 or more other fleet girls in play, she gets plus 1,000. Okay. When you play her, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, put 1 in your hand and the rest in the waiting room. Not too sure I like that. My problem with an effect like this is it kills you a lot faster on a lot of occasions. If you've been playing everything correctly, then you should have a lot of climaxes and not very many of the rest of your deck. If you draw into one of your climaxes and that's one of your damage cancels gone, taking that big of a risk to get plus 1 card in your hands doesn't really seem that worth it to me. I'm not saying she's a really bad card. Oh, wait a second. Yes, that is what I am saying. Here's the climax lineup. You get 4 of the red one and 2 of each green one. This makes sense, as the red one is the only one in the deck used for climax combos. Now for my overview. I'm gonna be honest with you, this deck is pretty ridiculous for a trial deck. I know I'm gonna get a lot of backlash for this, so elitists, get ready, get your keyboard typing fingers stretched, I'm gonna give you a second. Of the decks that I've reviewed, I think this one is the most powerful and the most competitive. The deck has a lot of tools available to it that a lot of people overlook. Good use of boost, good use of encoring, you can create assassins that never die, you can outlast your opponent, you can overthrow your opponent, you can do all kinds of things using a trial deck, and that's amazing. That being said, do not pick this deck up if you are a beginner. Practice with an easier deck first. All of the things that make this deck amazing set you back when you're playing a game. Wasting resources to get rid of stuff that doesn't matter, or do pushes that just don't really put you that far ahead, are going to make this deck fail. You cannot afford to mess up as often as you can with easier decks. At the same time, not properly utilizing all of these techniques and tricks that this deck has makes it just another generic deck. It's the fact that you can throw away a few resources to create a huge push or put yourself really far ahead that make this such an awesome competitive deck. When you feel like you can walk that fine line of getting rid of resources when you have to get rid of stuff that's in your way and not throwing away so many resources that you get rid of stuff that doesn't matter, pick this deck up. It is definitely a must-have part of any Weiss player's collection. Now for my deck tweaks. Most of the time, if you've been following my show, you know that if you want to make a deck really good, you buy 2 of the trial deck and then you take and you mix and you match. Kantai is almost devious in the fact that it's loaded down with so much nonsensical nonsense that it's required to get 2 of this deck and combine them if you want to bring out the deck's full strength. At level 0, start by taking out all 4 of the vanillas. You're not going to need them, as with most trial decks. Take out 1 Kikuzuzuki because you don't really need her as much as you need Ikazuchi. Put in 2 more Mutsuki and 2 more Hatsushimo because that'll put you at 8 really good beaters and 7 really good assist cards at level 0, and that is a really good lineup to have. At level 1, take out the 5500 vanilla and take out Tenryu. Both of these cards are really bad and we don't need them at level 1. Put 2 more Naka in because having 4 level 1s with Encore is really awesome and they don't really have that much of a downside. They're also free, which is great in such a stock heavy deck. Put in 1 more Tama because a 7000 is really good at level 1 and it fixes what is normally our really low numbers. Also put in 1 more Isuzu. She has our climax combo, she also has a form of Encore, and we can use her at level 2 to trade in for that 1 really good level 2 version of her. It would be great to have a 4th Isuzu, but we don't want to run more than 10 level 1s. At level 2, don't touch Fusho, Ryujo, or Hosho. Having 4 Fusho, 2 Ryujo, and 2 Hosho is perfect. That is a great number for them to be at. Put in 2 more Fuso Kai. We want a full set of 4 of her because not only is she 9k, but we can use the first Fusho to turn into her for 1 less stock, which is awesome. Put in your other Isuzu Kai Ni because she's a really good card too. In fact, I wish we could put more of her in, but if you're only working with 2 trial decks, just put both of the ones that you currently have in the deck. Take out Maya Full of Confidence. She's kind of a cool card, I guess, but we can do so much better than her. Let's just do that. Take Maya full of confidence out of the deck. Put in one more Chokai fully prepared though, because Chokai is a really good card. At level 3, don't put in the level 3. I know, I sound crazy right now, and I never thought I'd say this, but the level 3 in this deck just isn't as good as the level 2s. In fact, in a lot of cases, she can actually just help in killing you much faster. We can hit characters with 10,000 power. We can get up to 2 soul on our characters. There's no reason we need the level 3 in this deck until they give us a better level 3 to play with. The climax setup is pretty good where it is. If you want, you can take out the 2 definitely night battle and put in 2 more of the Akugu of the 1st Carrier Division deploying. Just because the gold bar trigger is really good to have and the other one doesn't really have a gold bar trigger, but I really like plus 2k draw 1 climaxes, so I would just keep it the way it is. And I believe that's all I have to say. If you enjoyed this deck review, profile, whatever you want to call it, then please leave me a like on your way out. Those things really do help us out. Leave me a comment telling me what deck you want me to look at next or what video you want me to cover next. And finally, subscribe to stay up to date on the latest Kudou news. Until next time, duelists.